Hey everybody, happy Thursday. Just want to give you a short video on some thoughts I had about what we call PRs, personal records in the gym. So, PRs, right? One of the things that keeps us motivated to go to the gym, and we know that motivation is going to drive consistency, and consistency is going to drive the gains, and the other mechanisms need to get to our goals, right? That's how kind of things stack up. But the idea that these PRs are what's motivational to get us to get out there and put in the hard work, right? But the longer you're in the gym, the harder and harder it is to hit PRs, right? Strength gains are asymptotic. There's going to be a limit. Whether it be genetic or enhanced, whatever, there's still going to be a limit. You can see that at the peak end of strength, there's a limit. These guys, these strongman guys, right? You got guys out there deadlifting 500 kilograms, crazy amount of weight, but the increments that they're making on that now is super small. Again, it's at some... We're approaching probably was close to a limit of human strength for that lift. So coming back to the idea of PR, right? Those PRs may motivate us to get us out into the gym. But as we train, we're going to see less and less of those PRs, especially on the typical big compound lifts. It's going to be hard to drive PRs on squats, deadlifts, bench press if you do that, whatever, right? It's going to get hard. So, what do? There's a lot of alternatives out there. The familiar ones are, well, what about if I drop the weight and I do a ton of reps at this weight? Those are great. Love them. Set for yourself, a 10 rep max at a weight, 15, 20 rep, who cares? Or, one I remember years ago, again on the online forum kind of deal, we all went and we're all going to do the NFL Combine, 225 for reps thing. And I think I drove mine up to some numbers like 17, right? Nothing huge, crazy like some of these NFL guys, but, a respectable number that even at the Combine levels. So, yeah, there's fun ways that you can do PRs with the big lifts, with equipment you got. But eventually those kind of peter out too, right? Again, it's going to be some asymptote that you hit. So then what, right? Well, there's the other route is let's try variations, right? If you're doing competition grip bench press, narrow your grip up, do some close grip, do really wide. Try something new, mix things up. Those are easy, right? If you pull conventional deadlifts, do sumos. Try sumo, that's a new variant. Introduce a new variant and drive it up. Maybe that's how you get a PR. And you can establish it training PRs. Love those ideas too. The things that I do a lot now, and I've got a lot of training history, decades now, I introduced, weird stuff, right? Stuff that gets goofed on a lot of times online. Like I do unilateral stuff. Like I've been doing these box step-ups to help drive my squat back and fix some hip issues and, work on muscle asymmetries, which I think that there are real asymmetries out there. Some people say they don't exist, but I think I think something is there. I don't know the exact mechanism, but I do know that me working unilateral stuff pays dividends. So do something like that, right? The other day I was doing step-ups with, 20-gram kettlebells in each hand. Okay, it's a PR, right? Great. I've established some new personal record. Cool. Those will run out too. There's only so many variations you can do. You can do stuff like I've done, right? Like with the Bosu ball, you can establish, ability to maintain balance in a motion. I think that's great too. So you've got so going back, right? You've got what's the weight on the bar for the standard compound lifts, right? Drive that. Then start driving variance, isolation exercises, unilateral exercises, drive that, right? Then you can start mixing in implements that, add stability or take it away. those are good too. Sometimes you can even say, all right, I did this with a belt. Now let me establish this weight without a belt. I remember, driving my squats to 405, did those belted. Eventually I got to the point where I could squat 405 without a belt. Okay, that's cool. Right now I've hit a new personal best there. So ways to work around that too. Those are going to start to get thin as well. So then you're like, well, what's left? What is left that I can drive in terms of a personal record? So recently I posted some shorts, because that's the way to get views online anymore. So short attention span stuff, as I talk to you for minutes on end. But the idea is that you can establish other things. So one of the things I like to do is I like to let me make my form as consistent as possible across sets. How can I hit this? Can I do bench press? Can I do this 5 sets? And can the sets look really close in terms of form execution, or even improve through the session? That's, for me, that's a mental personal record, or some goal that's achievable, which is really all personal record is, right? Some goal that's achievable, that's sometimes just a small step that drives us, that gives us focus. And again, that all goes back to the motivation of why we are in the gym in the first place, right? We want to see some sort of gains. And the gains aren't always what's on the bar. They're not always the count of how many reps we did of that weight. Sometimes it is those minor details, the execution of form, how we feel after a set, what weight we were when we did the set, what age we were, because that's another factor. I'm getting to the point in my life where getting stronger on things is probably not really going to happen. It's hard to drive weight up when arthritis starts to pile up, injuries start to get more frequent. In general, I'm just not training with the same intensity I did 10 years ago. I'm not trying to drive a 1 rep max again. I'm trying to get enough reps in that I can maintain muscle mass. And I'm trying to get the form as clean as possible so I can stay out here and keep doing it. So that's my current focus. Clean reps, consistency of reps, looking across the entire session. Like, how did that session feel? We can establish personal records there too. So long story short, there's a lot of ways to establish personal records. They can be trivial on the face of it, right? It can, you could say my personal best was, this session I added 1 extra rep on my 5th set. And most people are going to say, who cares? It's trivial. But it's not trivial to you. It's what makes you better. It's what motivates you to get into the gym. It's what gives you the mechanism to establish consistency. And that's all that matters, right? What is it that drives us to go out there and put in that extra effort, or continue to put in the extra effort to make ourselves better physically? So, that being said, there's a way, there's a mechanism. You might have to be creative, but you can establish PRs every session. But they're not the PRs that you might be thinking of. Again, that's going to go to your creativity, what your goals are, and what you have at your disposal. So, having said that, keep these things in mind. Use them as tools so that you can, again, I want to say it one more time. These PRs, they are there for motivation. The motivation is what drives consistency. And consistency is absolutely the key to hitting those goals that you have in the gym. All right, I've said enough today. All I did today was stretch, working on these shoulders, making sure that they're ready for the next session. And with that, hope everyone's having a great week. And I'll be in this gym tomorrow doing some deadlifts. Hopefully, better than ever in some way, shape, or form. All right, peace.